Hey, are you there?
I am now.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
You're what?
Got lost. All righty. Welcome to March 10th, 2021, our thestarchlady.com lunch meet and eat on Zoom. It's Sam and I today, so she gets a one-on-one. This is awesome. So what's up, Sam?
Well, let's see. My weight. Oh, wait. You're recording this. Never mind.
It's just us.
Yeah.
So you had a rough week?
No, actually, yesterday I was at my lowest for a while. I was 142. And then today I'm back to 145. And it's like, really? Of course, I haven't, had movement or anything. So
that's kind of how it works.
I'm assuming I'm basically at 144, probably.
What were you yesterday?
142.
So you're 142. You did not eat 7,000 calories yesterday.
I know, but...
And it wasn't 7,000 extra calories on top of what you need just to breathe and sit on a couch, if that's all you did. And we know that's not all you did. So,
Right.
It's like my hammer, my McDougall medical person that calls me. She just has me give her my lowest weight of the week because that's the most accurate based on bowel movements and everything else. So if you touched 142, girl, you are 142. So, and I have noticed also, even when we're eating just perfect, it'll go like several days, kind of like your body's like going, is this for real? Are you really eating this good? And then all of a sudden, whoosh, it just like all this weight comes off like 3-4 pounds at a time. So don't stress over it. Don't let the scale determine your mood.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I definitely don't. I just, once I get a low weight, it's like, yes, eventually I will get there completely and then go down from there again.
Yeah.
But it takes, several days of up and down, and stuff. And in the end, it really, in the end, I average it out, and it's like, yeah, I'm basically losing a pound a week from
That's good.
all the weeks and stuff.
And
well, I guess
if you think about it, the your new high becomes a whole different new high. So like for me, if I'm down, I'm 211 now. Okay. So, and I was 211 today, but I was 209 a few days ago. All right. So I tell myself I'm 209 pounds, and now my new window is like 211, 213 for my fluctuation. And I always know that I'm carrying about 3 to 4 pounds of, elimination, Oh, Nancy joined us. Yay. So, knowing that, you're going to dip down. Hi, Nancy. Welcome.
Hi, Nancy.
That can be kind of fun too. So, Samantha, meet Nancy. She's one of our friends and clients from the gun show. And Samantha's been a friend of mine for over 20 years. We had babies together. So we grew up on the other side of town when our kids were little. And now they're all grown. They're all bigged. So she's making lunch. But so let's, Samantha, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you're eating and making over there for lunch?
I don't really know. I'm starting with the zucchini. And then a potato. I'll put in a potato also.
So life starts with a zucchini. Is that what I'm hearing?
Actually, life starts with a potato, but I started it with a zucchini.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Actually, what I think I'm going to do is just the potato and zucchini with some of the diced tomatoes and diced tomato with the not spicy, but whatever diced tomato comes with
Oh, I gotcha.
the Italian diced tomatoes.
There are herbs in them.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
awesome.
that's really yummy. It's
So, hey, do you still have some of your corn butter?
no, I finished that off yesterday.
All right, I was going to tell Nancy about it. So, Nancy, when you go to the store and they have all those different kinds of butters that are made with olive oil and corn oil and different things like that, since we don't do oil, we have found some recipes that we've been trying out. I've done it. Samantha's tried it, where you just take canned corn, throw it in the blender with a couple of spices and stuff and blend it until it's smooth. And it actually works like butter. And so we put it on potatoes and we put it on our face. We put it on bread. I mean, everything. I mean, anything that needs a butter, it kind of has that flavor. I also do one where I take artichoke hearts, a jar of the organic artichoke hearts, and I'll blend that up with some herbs and things like that and make it into a sauce. And it's really good that way too. So are you eating lunch there, Nancy? You want to share what you eat today? Well, let's first ask Sam, what'd you have for breakfast? Or is this breakfast?
This is my first meal of the day.
Mm-hmm.
It just, yeah.
Okay.
I
So
don't-
talk to us, Nancy.
Can't hear you.
Let me unmute you here. Can you unmute?
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, okay. I tried. I just did it. My computer's doing weird stuff, so I tried to get onto my phone, and I've never done it on my phone before.
Ooh. Well, we're
so-
weird, so you're fitting right in, so that works.
Yeah.
But
I
you
just
knew
had-
that already.
Yeah. I had a potato with some salsa on it this morning and some nutritional yeast. That's all I had today.
Nice. Is it satisfying you? Are you still hungry? Do you
Oh,
need
no,
another
it's pretty
potato?
good. It does. I can't even eat all of the potato. I got 2 potatoes and I can't even eat it all. So
Okay. We just want to make sure that nobody's going hungry. And on this program, literally, if you're hungry, we eat again.
okay.
And so we don't ever want you to say, oh, I'm starving, because as soon as you start to have that hunger, that's when we start to get off track. But because the caloric density, I guess, of the food, I mean, you'd have to eat a lot of potatoes to get 500 calories in you. That'd
So
be a lot.
what if you are in between meals? Do you have to put some greens with it?
Not necessarily. Okay, so because you're new, we'll go over this again real quick. Let me see if I can find it here. I think it's behind me. So there's several different versions of the McDougall program. The original being the Starch solution.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to read this, you would see that the meal is primarily starches. We're talking 70 to 90% starches.
Wow.
And a little bit of vegetables, okay? The maximum weight loss is more of the 50-50, where it's half starch, half vegetables, because now we've replaced a good portion, 20 to 30% of the starch. We've taken that off and replaced it with a non-starchy vegetable, which has even less caloric count than the starch that we're eating with it. So that's
Okay.
the grams. Then there's the Mary's Mini, which is designed by Dr. McDougall's wife when they asked for a specific diet. And this one here is the most recent one. This is Healthiest Diet on the Planet. And this is kind of a combination of these two. All right.
Okay.
2016. But Mary McDougall came up with one that they call Mary's Mini, which is kind of like a 50-50 plate, except that you pick one starch and one starch only. Let's say it's potatoes, and you eat that for all your meals and all your snacks with your non-starchy vegetables.
Oh,
And so they recommend it for 10 days. I just did it for 10 days. I actually did it for, I think, 11 or something like that. And I lost 4 pounds. And
wow.
so if you count the 4 pounds of poop I lost the day before I started, that would be 8 pounds. So, but what it is it's designed to make your meal so simplistic. No thought goes into it. It's a potato and a vegetable. And if you're not hungry enough to have a potato and a vegetable, you ain't hungry. And so there's nothing exciting about it. Now I'm a little bit more bored, I guess. And so I spent a little more creativity in the kitchen making weird things like pizza crust out of mashed potatoes and little puffs that I do in the air fryer. Or, you know, we do French fries, because anything you can do with a potato, you can do during that time frame. You don't have to eat just a baked potato, baked potato, baked potato. It just has to be that one starch. I
okay.
had one Mary's Mini where it was so strict that you had to eat the same vegetable for that same time frame. So it'd be like
Wow.
potatoes and green beans, potatoes and green beans, potatoes and green beans. And that would get old really, really quick. And so, and then you've got this guy here. Let me see if he's still here. Oh, I thought he was. I have another book called Spudfit with Andrew from Australia, who realized his food addiction, and he ate only potatoes for an entire year. And if he wanted something just a little different to spice it up a little bit, he would literally put like a teaspoon of ketchup and stir it into the whole thing that he was eating, or barbecue sauce or mustard, just a little bit of like a teaspoon worth of condiment to kind of haze a flavor a little different than just regular potatoes.
Oh,
And he lost like 117 pounds. But we've also known tons and tons of people successful on this program that not only reverse conditions of health, like we're most concerned about, the side effect being weight loss if needed, but we've known tons and tons of people that have lost 70, 80, 90, 100 pounds in a year, and they didn't have to restrict themselves as much as he did just eating potatoes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's several variations, but Dr. McDougall will tell you that if you're just running out the door and want a snack, or you just want a snack, grab the starch, because you want to be satisfied. If you grab just the cucumber, like I used to do in the past, I was still hungry.
Yeah.
And but by eating the potato, I'm not. And like even this soup right here, it's cold today and it's actually pretty good. This is potato, carrot, onion. I put it on the website and I blended it, which made it creamy. And then I threw in a can of corn, and it's pretty good by itself. And because it's got the potato in there, it's satisfying. And I'm not hungry, and I may only get through half of that, and then I'll save the rest for later. But that potato, or the starch in general, is what's going to keep us satisfied and not feeling like we gotta, eat small children. Yeah. So, was it lunch that you had the potato with the salsa?
No, that was breakfast.
Breakfast. Okay. I've been loving your salsa. It's almost gone. Did you see me?
Oh, good. Yeah, I did.
Did Rick think I was a nut eating it with a spoon?
No. He would do the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, it was so good. It was so good. It actually had a pocket. Okay, I found the pocket the next day. I don't know if it's settled or what, but I put some on something I was eating the next day, and over generously. And I took a bite and I was like, whoa. It was like, I think I hit a pocket of straight up jalapeno right there or something. So, but it was really good.
Those chilies have a way of doing that. You'll say, oh, this bunch is just pretty mild, and then you'll hit a hot one, and it's hot.
And it's like, what?
Yep, exactly.
Well, that's good. Well, you guys have us all to ourselves today. What do you want to talk about? We had such a phenomenal call last week with our guest speaker. Did you get to watch the one from last week with our guest speaker?
No, I haven't had a chance. We just got back from New Mexico yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, our guest last week had lost 150 pounds. She's kept it off and walked every day since 2016. And I shouldn't say just the word walked. I mean, she marathons. She averages 15 to 20 miles a day. She gets up at 4 in the morning and walks until like 7, and then she walks in the afternoon when she picks up her kids from the bus or whatever. And she does a lot of destination walking, and then she also walks around in her neighborhood. There's another lady on the call last week that started walking 10 miles a day. That's like almost, you know, half marathon level. So, and I'm sitting there looking here, I'm going to pet my ball back here, my little bouncy ball. You know, I can get on my bouncy ball and watch a movie or something like that, but I've got other exercise equipment. I'm going to do the, what's it called? Dance Groove. She's on YouTube and she dances and gets your whole body moving and sweaty. It's kind of like the figure eight lady. You see those commercials too about the figure eight and how people are dancing and getting their little trim hips and stuff. So I'm going to start trying a few things like that just to liven it up and get moving. But I'm losing enough weight now that I'm actually starting to get loose skin here, you know, on just my arms. And look, I can grab that whole part right there. I never used to be able to do that before. My rings are spinning like crazy. I'm losing weight everywhere. And that's only at 41 pounds. So if I don't start moving, I'm going to look like, you know, a wrinkle puppy. So anyway, so what's something that you guys have found as a challenge this week? Let's talk about challenges.
I think well, I have a lot of challenges. Because I am now at that weight of I'm comfortable. That's my biggest challenge, is that I'm comfortable. I want to lose another 15, 20 and be, yeah, woo, baby. But if I don't, I'm comfortable. I'm not uncomfortable anymore. My clothes are baggy. I like baggy clothes. I can wear the, what are these called? You know, legging stuff and not feel like I'm a, you know, stuffed sausage. So, you know, I'm comfortable. So it's like, oh, I'll just have a few of these, and then a few minutes later, it's like, oh crap, I ate the rest of the whole bag, you know? So it's like, so yeah, that's my biggest challenge is how am I going to stop being comfortable? How am I going to actually get 100% back on the program?
Well, that's a really good question. And I think one of the things we talked about this before, for you have a really big why, because if you get off program, you have pain.
Right. But I know how to get off just enough so that I don't.
Oh, you have found the edge of your cliff. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. So we have to kind of almost think of it like, remember that phrase that Dr. McDougall uses where he says, that's not your food? You know, just hearing the crinkly bag before you brought it on screen, we knew it wasn't our food. You know, if it comes in a crinkle bag, we know it's not our food, right? But like with me, I have allergies so bad, and this happened again last night. There's a Japanese noodle shop by our house. In fact, one is like 4.5 miles from our house, and one's like 6 miles from our house, depending on if I'm coming from the office or whatever. I've eaten there 3 times this week. Travis has eaten there 4 times, and LeRoy's eaten there twice. So we have become kind of obsessed with this Japanese noodle house, because in Japan, we love the noodle houses. And in Japan, as you're walking down the street and you're going past these little mom and pop shops, the doors are always open. You know, there's not a lot of central air or anything. So the doors will be open, and just kind of listen for the loudness of the slurping. And if there's a lot of slurp going on, we know that's a good noodle house, because it's complimentary to slurp your noodles if they're good. And so it's like so authentic to that kind of flavor. But of course, I have to get the rice noodles, because I am allergic to the max, super celiac. I can't even kiss LeRoy if he's had a crouton if it gets in my mouth. And so we go to the noodle shop last night, and I got my usual and everything. And I'm sitting down and I'm just going at it. And about 3 gigundous, just mouthfuls of noodles, because I was starving. I stopped for a second and went, that doesn't taste like a rice noodle. Oh no. So I go running up to the front and I go, that was not a rice noodle. I need rice noodles. And then she recognized me from the other locations. Oh, you come to the other location. And she says, you need rice noodles. And it's like, where were you when I ordered my bowl? You know? So immediately I know I am in trouble. And sure enough, I am still in pain. And it's going to last for like 6 days. So who knows how this is going to play out. But I have to treat food that comes in crinkle packages and other foods that I know that may be in the house because Travis brought them in. LeRoy's been really good. I mean, since January when he started, shock of all shocks, the only thing he brings in that I don't eat a lot of, but I could, is popcorn, and we pop it in the air fryer. We have to start looking at some of these foods and going, that is just not my food. I don't want the pain for the celiac for me, for the body pain for you. And just to think of what it does to the blood cells. Remember, I live in a microscopic world. And in my microscopic world, it is, the stuff that I see, the stuff I see in the microscope would scare anybody. And it's like, don't want that in my brain, my eyeballs, or my heart, please. Don't put that in my mouth. So that kind of holds me back a little bit. There's things that I miss. And every time I try to find something that's even relatively close to what we're doing. I did one the other day. It was a Jordian, the Jordian family. She does a little like lava cake. And for Valentine's Day, I made one, but I made them in little tiny cupcake papers so that it was like one and done. It was really small. But that's about the closest texture I've gotten to having a piece of cake in this whole process. And that is something that I had missed, was having cakes or brownies or something like that. But I know that high processed food is not good. Now, I did come across a recipe the other day, and I may get brave, but it's going to have to be one of those things I make a little tiny portion about. I serve it to the 3 of us and it's done and gone, because I can't make a big tray. But they actually made brownies out of like beans, black bean brownies. I mean, who knew, you know? So something like that, I might try that. But I don't, you know what? Here's the best part. And raise your hand if it's working for you. Sugar cravings. That's like in the past. It's like, oh yeah, I can have something sweet. I don't crave it anymore. And there used to be a phase where we either had ice cream every day, or I have a cookie jar full of those Adkins fake candies, you know, M&Ms and almond M&Ms and Mounds and fake Snickers bars and stuff. And we would have to sit down and have not just one, but 1 or 2 of those on a daily basis. Caroline's coming in. Hey, Carolyn. Got a little intimately small group today. Carolyn's on her lunch hour up in Canada, so we'll get to her in a second. But maybe that will help a little bit if we kind of start looking at those crinkle packages and things that are in the house, because you've got a house full of, you know, people living there that have a lot different eating habits than you do, Sam. And you know, if it's a way to adapt, you know, that's not my food. I mean, I look at Beth and it's like, she has people in her house all the time too, and her husband's, you know, eating stuff all the time, entire bags of things that crinkle. And she just literally had to say that just wasn't her food. And where has that gotten her at her petite little 108-pound self, you know? So,
Right.
and she was over here yesterday, and it's like, girl, you're making me tired. Just talking. I mean, she's just so full of energy, and she's training for a marathon now, bless her heart. So, or a half marathon. So, yeah, that's kind of what I have to keep in mind as my goals to get to where I'm going. You look at the lady that spoke for us last week, Joanne, and how wonderful she's feeling, and getting off all those medications. Those are the things that make it worthwhile. I mean, that really plays a big part. So does that help at all, or what would you suggest? What do you think would be the best way to handle it?
I don't know. It's like I said, it's just my brain. It's like when I joined the church and I had to stop smoking and drinking and all of that. It's like there was a reason, and the reason was to be faithful and with my covenant. So that's the reason. Well, I had to have a reason, and my reason of, I didn't even know that eating this way would take away the pain. That was just a holy cow.
Who knew?
Bonus, total bonus. But having today is Aunt Barbara's birthday, so took a cake over to them last night because we're going out of town today until Friday, to work, and so I had a piece of cake. I didn't have a piece of cake. I just had a piece of cake. But it was like, it's okay, because that piece of cake is not going to make me have pain. The rest of the day I ate good. And I so I feel like, well, my goal was to lose weight and I lost weight, and I'm not at my goal weight, but even though I cheat, I still lose a little bit, and all those little bits add up. So
it's just taking a little longer because of
because I cheat. Yeah, because I cheat, I'm taking it and making it take longer.
Gotcha.
But I don't have any, loose skin. So.
Oh, well, okay, rub that in. So you're about the same height as I am, aren't you?
You what?
Aren't we about the same height, 5'4"?
Yes. Well, I quit saying 5'4.5" because reality is, Rosemary, we're 5'3". We're not 5'4" anymore. We're 5'3".
I haven't measured, but I don't think so. I think I'm getting taller.
I know.
I'm getting taller because my butt's getting smaller. So when I smack myself up against that measuring stick in our hallway, I can get closer to the wall. All right.
But you need to stop eating out at restaurants, period.
Oh my gosh. If I could control that more, I would be thrilled. It is literally.
Plan ahead. I'm using your words, plan ahead.
And I do plan ahead. I had food. So one day this week when the Japanese noodle shop came into play, I literally had food heated, ready to go on the stove. And Travis said, I wanted the Japanese noodle shop tonight. Can't we just put that away and have it later? And so I gave in to spending time with my son, being happy because he was going to go to the noodle shop, whether we sat down to eat or not. That was what he had in his mind. And it's like, okay, I chose eating with them at the noodle shop. But again, if I got rice noodles and vegetables, it's great. And it's in a miso base, so it helps with the digestion or whatever. I don't do that as often. They even have a vegan one, which is just vegetable broth. But that's how that ended up. But a lot of times I'll end up with right late in the evening. It's like 6, 7 o'clock at night. That's my biggest problem, is eating late at night, because we're getting off, jobs so late in the evening. Nancy, what time did they leave your place? I mean,
it was late. It was late. And then you came over and stayed even later.
You're welcome. Yes, that's true. Because I got there and it was daylight, and it was not daylight when I left. But
Right.
by the time I got home, it was late, and it was like, now what do we eat?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Carolyn, you're up there in working Canada there. So what you having for lunch, sweetie?
Last night I made myself some hash browns. I have a grill thing I'm using for that now. And I've got stir-fried veggies and squash on the side.
Nice, nice. Very good. So, have you had any challenges this week? Because I know you do this mostly for health because you're at an ideal weight.
Yeah. Funny, we were just talking about cheats there. Last week, I don't know, I think it was partly because we were having some plumbing issues and I was kind of stressed out or upset about it or something. I kind of said, screw it, I'm going to buy some bread. So I got some sourdough bread. I think part of it was thinking because I couldn't use my toilet that I'm going to, eat some bread. Maybe that'll stop me from needing to use it so often. But anyway, but despite those little things like that, or eating that, or eating things with a bit more sugar in it, I still managed to, I guess maintain. So part of me thinks, well, I guess every once in a while, that shouldn't be a big deal for me. Right. But I am trying, I do have my routine now. Every evening I do try to do 15 or 20 minutes of some sort of strength training kind of exercise.
Well, that's a good idea. I'm pulling up the McDougall cookbook here because they eat a lot of bread. Did you know that the McDougalls eat a lot of bread? So I'm going to go over here and see what they have under the recipe book for bread.
Look. Doesn't that look yummy?
Oh, nice. What was it? A zucchini and potatoes and that.
Zucchini, potato, and some of the can of tomatoes.
Awesome.
Rice. This one that has all the other stuff in it. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like got some herb spices in there.
Yeah,
okay.
Got basil, garlic, and oregano.
So in the bread section here of the McDougall cookbook, it has listed French toast, pita bread, salad, and Italian. So, and it's got the recipes for all these, how to make French toast using banana and different things like that to dip it in, and the unsweetened milks and things like that. But sourdough was something they talked about. I don't see it specifically listed here. Maybe this one. Let me try. Oh, there's that guy. There's that spudfit guy, Nancy.
Oh, okay.
That book there. And he also has his own cookbook with contributors, like 25 different contributors. And but like on, let's say the starch solution, let's see what it says for bread. And we talked about, last week, we talked about the Ezekiel bread that had always been considered a safe thing. It was a sprouted grain, and Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 7 says, take the sprout of this grain, this grain, this grain, this grain, put it in one vessel and make bread of it. I mean, literally in Ezekiel in the Bible, it tells you a recipe for bread. And breads, limiting for maximum weight loss and in weight loss experiment. So it talks about limiting it if you're going to do the maximum weight loss. And then there's an experiment where I think all they did, if I remember correctly, was eat bread and see if they survived. Let me see what it says. Eat more starch challenge in the 70s. I'll read to you.
Okay.
Okay, look, first, and this, using this, the
nutritional yeast.
Nutritional yeast.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a Parmesan cheese.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's how I like to use it too. All right, let's see, Sarah. So he says, eat more starch challenge. In the 70s, researchers from the Food Science and Human Nutrition Department at Michigan State University, his alma mater, asked 16 moderately overweight college men to add 12 slices of white bread, whoa, at 70 calories a slice, or high fiber bread at 50 calories a slice to their diet daily. On average, subjects eating the extra white bread lost 14 pounds, and those adding the high fiber bread lost 19 pounds. How long did they do this for? Approximately, let's see, appetite appeasing breads work by replacing the easy to wear fats found in the meats, dairy products, and vegetable oils, causing them to spontaneously, without any additional conscious thought or effort, to lose weight. The general health of these college students also improved, as reflected by a very large and rapid reduction of their blood cholesterol levels from 60 to 80 milligrams per deciliter. This is my challenge to you. If you are one of the few people who is not yet fully convinced about the power of the starch solution, simply eat more starch without intentionally giving up anything else in your current diet. This commitment means adding daily any one or mixture of the following to your regular diet. Add 4 cups of rice, 4 cups of boiled corn, 4 mashed potatoes, 4 baked sweet potatoes, 3 cups of cooked beans, peas, or lentils, 4 cups of boiled spaghetti noodles, or 12 slices of whole grain bread. Simply add this extra 600 to 900 calories divided throughout the day of your choice of grains, legumes, or starchy vegetables to what you are already eating in order to see remarkable benefits, just as the college-age men did. So that would be one way of showing you're one, you're going to be fuller. Number 2, you're going to poop better. So that's going to have its own advantages. But what is it? Do you guys remember what it is that I do for bread? I mean, on a regular basis, you saw me wrapping it around my hot dog the other day. But there's 2 kinds of tortillas that I like to make. And one of them's on the website, and it's the lentil tortillas. And you take literally green or red or black or whatever color lentils you want, 1 cup, and then you put it in a mason jar and add 2 cups of water and go to bed. And overnight, those lentils are going to swell up and fill up that whole jar. You do not want to rinse them. You don't want to drain them. You want to take that full jar and that exact amount of moisture that's still left. To that, I add herbs like garlic powder, onion powder, little nutritional yeast. I have that one seasoning that I got called Everything But the Bagel. It's like what you put on a bagel, but the bagel's not there. It's just the seasoning. It's got all kinds of little specks in there. Put that in there, and then you blend it, and it turns into this super, super thick, like pancake batter that you have to plop out onto your hot griddle, spread it around with a spoon, and cook it on one side. And then when it's done, you flip it and you cook the other side. But they stack really well in the refrigerator. Sometimes I'll put parchment paper between them, but I'm lazy, so I don't. So sometimes they'll stick a little bit, but if I let them dry completely, they don't stick as much. And then I can use those to wrap up anything. And you know, I'm obsessed with my mandolin that I got for 17 bucks at HEB. You remember that? It had, it cuts the stuff really super thin. There's a level 1, 2, and 3, and it's got a guard so you don't like hurt yourself. But I love the super, super thin onions and the super, super thin zucchini. And I mean, I could just layer those all day long with some spicy mustard and die and go to heaven. This last week I used, made a hot dog out of carrots with sauerkraut and mustard and stuff. And that tortilla was made out of 2 ingredients, quinoa and water. And so I took just the raw quinoa and put it in the blender with, they said 1 cup of quinoa, 1 cup of water, but that was so thick, it was like glue. So I actually added 2 cups of water to that as well. And all my spices, I didn't have to soak it or nothing. I just straight up blended it, poured it out, spread it out. I was able to take the pan and kind of rotate it a little bit and flip it and make all those quinoa tortillas. And they stacked up really nice in the refrigerator too. In fact, when I showed the picture of the hot dog with the sauerkraut on the group earlier this week, it was actually with the tortilla the second day that I'd pulled out of the fridge. It wasn't the same day. So there's easy ways to do that. What is bread anyways? Bread is a vessel. Bread is a vessel to get something else into your face, or we just like the vessel and we have in the past just eaten it. Now, because we can't have butter, regular butter, but we've got that corn butter recipe. Sam made one and posted that recipe. I've made one, posted that recipe. And, but it has such a creamy texture. And since I've been used to eating vegan butter for so many years that was made from corn oil, and we're just skipping the oil and going for the corn. So it's worked out really, really, really well. Has anybody else tried anything new this week? Have they any new recipes out there we need to be gawking over?
Oh, crap. I didn't take a picture of my food. Dang it.
Spit it up. Wait,
Well,
cough it out, Sam. We need that picture.
I will just spread it out better. Yeah. Okay.
Make it look like it was more petite than it was.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
that is one thing that has been a really big struggle for a lot of our participants, especially when they're first starting out. We have been conditioned, I'm spitting corn out at you. We have been conditioned so much in our lifetime of restrictive dietary eating. Anytime we want to lose weight, the first thing we thought of is, I can't eat so much food. Oh, or I'm going to exercise and overwork my body. And trying to find that happy balance. It's really hard for some of our new members, was for me, was for Beth, it was for a lot of us, to get used to the fact that we can actually eat a full plate of food. And if we need more, get more. That still blows my mind. You know, I would call Carolyn a volume eater. Her plates are good size plates, and she's not having any trouble throwing that back. Am I right, Carolyn? Is she nodding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My plates are very full.
Yeah. It seems like, and I know Beth has found this, that the more she loses, the more she has to eat, because she has to feel satisfied. Because what happens when you lose weight? You get more energy. And so she's burning off so many calories. I was looking at Vicky's post this week. Remember, Vicky upped her game and went to 10 pounds, not 10 pounds, 10 miles a day after listening to our guest speaker last week, Joy, who's doing 15 to 20 miles a day. Vicky upped her game to 10. And she's been posting her meter readings, her screenshots. And if you remember, she's like way over on the count steps. It's like 23,000 steps or something like that to get to the 10 miles. But have you noticed the number of calories she's burning in just that walk? And I asked her about it, about how she's doing it. How long does it take her? And she's not doing it all at once either. She's even wearing her Fitbit or whatever, and it's tracking anytime she's walking back and forth doing laundry or in and out of the kitchen or whatever. So she's adding that up, and then she does go for a walk. I don't know if it tells you what the deal is, but if you'll notice, just from her walking that amount of steps, she's burning, according to the Fitbit, over 2,000 calories. Girls, we ain't eating 2,000 calories a day. So that's a definite deficit, right? I don't think we could get 2,000 calories in with the foods that we're eating. You know, if we even average 500 to 600 calories a meal, that's still only, 12 to 1,800 calories a day. And she's burning over 2,000 just walking that far. So with that amount of energy, I'm guessing, I haven't seen her plates, but I'm guessing her plates are more like Beth's, where she's actually eating a plate full of food. When I see posts and there's more plate than food, I know that's somebody who still hasn't quite caught the vision that it's okay to eat the whole potato. It's okay to eat the vegetables on the potato. It's okay to ask for more, get more. So I am loving those little baby potatoes. The Dr. McDougall calls them the four corners potatoes. They're the ones that are little in a bag, and some are red and some are white and some are black and some are purple. Have you seen those? And I guess they've been growing them indigenously for hundreds of years in the region of the United States called the Four Corners, where Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and something else come together to form that Four Corners spot. I've stood on that spot before. That's one of the first vacations I remember when I was about 5 years old, and we stood on there and got a picture taken, but we never developed the film, so we have no proof, but I know they took a picture. But but that's where those indigenous go. But I love to cook those on top in the crock pot when I'm doing my potatoes and my sweet potatoes, because I can put them, 5 or 6 of them in one of those little snack baggies and just grab it and run out the door with it. And they're always in my purse. So if you're ever with me and, you see my purse, I had to bump up my purse size last week, but I know if you're hungry, just ask, I'll have a potato in there. So anyways, but so we're talking about challenges. What are some other successes that we've had this week? What's some of the things you like going, your aha moment? What's an aha moment for you? Let's start with Caroline this time.
I don't know if I might have thought of something. I don't know. I've been listening to this podcast of I think her name is Chelsea, Lean with Plants.
I love her.
I don't know. She's been saying some stuff in the last couple of weeks that kind of like, I don't know, resonated with me, I guess. Like,
is she the one from New Zealand?
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cute as a bug's ear.
Yeah.
Anything in particular you want to share?
I don't know if I can think offhand, but I don't know. She kind of talks about changing the way you think about, like whether you mess up or something, or whether you kind of make up for it on the next meal, or I don't know. Yeah, stuff like that.
It's kind of like, and I totally get that. It's like that derailment mentality. It's like, oh, I already messed up, so I might as well just keep eating.
Yeah.
Spudfit talks about that. This guy. I wonder if it's in here in this. Andrew Taylor is his name. And in the very, very beginning, he talks about, I'll find it here. He had rewarded himself. Let's see, where'd it go? He says, that one afternoon in November last year, I was sitting at home on the couch contemplating yet another failed attempt at weight loss. I was lamenting the fact that I have failed consistently at this throughout my life. Why couldn't I just eat junk in moderation like normal people? Do normal people eat junk in moderation? Thinking about how my attempts at dieting always seem to play out in the same way, I suddenly struck by how similar this behavior pattern was to that of an alcoholic or a drug addict. We've all heard stories of the alcoholic who goes for a few months without a beer and then one night says, I've got this under control now, just one beer won't hurt. But just one beer inevitably turns into a dozen or more until the alcoholic wakes up in a pool of vomit with no memory of what had happened to get them there. If my behavior all mirrored that of an alcoholic, then it seemed reasonable that I had the same problem. I was a food addict. It hit me like a ton of bricks. It was obvious. Why hadn't I thought of this before? So I think there's another part of his story where he talks about how he'd lost a few pounds, and let's say the goal was 10. I can't remember exactly how the story goes, but let's say it was 10 pounds. And so as a reward, he allowed himself to add a piece of pizza. So he ordered a pizza, and he sits down with the family and he has a piece of pizza. But when they're done having their one piece of pizza and he's like, oh, that was really good, there was leftover pizza. Now, I don't know how big his family is. If I remember correctly, it's him, his wife, and 2 little kids. There ain't no such thing or no such word as a leftover pizza at our house. When we're making it ourselves or we're getting it with the cauliflower crust or something, I prefer that potato crust immensely because I know exactly what's in it. And so he thought, oh, what will it hurt to have another piece? And then I'll put the rest in the fridge for later. And before he knew it, where had the pizza gone? Straight through the pie hole. He had eaten every bite of it. And so instead of picking himself up and saying, well, that just happened, and the next meal getting back on track, he let that derail all of his progress. And then what happened after he finished eating the pizza came shame. What happens when shame comes? Then we have remorse. I mean, all these little emotions, roller coasters that we go through pop in. And now we're stuck. We're in this cycle of destruction, and I can do that. If I didn't have my husband's support right now, if my husband wasn't like on board with this and it was a constant battle night after night after night, I would be right back where I was, because it is so hard to feel like you aren't the one in control. And I don't know how Sam does it with all the food going on in her house, with everybody that lives there, with different, times they're eating and foods preferences that they're eating and stuff. It's like I would have to have my own little shelf. My kids used to call it my funny cupboard. Oh, that goes in mom's funny cupboard, which meant that was mom's healthy food and they didn't care about it. But now that we've got the two guys, Travis, who's 23, and my husband on board, how much easier has that become, including going to the noodle houses 4 times this week, It comes down to choices and moving on to the next one. Where I have to learn how to behave is not overstuffing myself. And my hammer, I keep calling her my hammer, when she calls me every week to get my vitals and my weight and my blood pressure and my blood sugar and stuff, she's always reminding me, and I think it's because she knows enough about me at this point. She tells me, eat only until 80% satiation. So when you're about 80% full, stop, because the rest of the food has to catch up. And by the time I eat and I'm full and the food hasn't all caught up yet, when it does, I'm moaning. You can just call me moaning. I am going to be moaning because I am overstuffed at that point, and now I'm miserable. And then I have to stay up later because there's no way I can lay that belly full of food down when I've eaten so late at night. So for me, my goal this week, pinky promise, here we go, pinky promise, is I'm going to start trying to not eat after 7 o'clock. I know Beth did that. I think she cut herself off at 6. But if I have anything past that time, even if I come home from late, it's going to have to be like a broth, something that is absolutely nothing for my body to even have to work hard to digest, because I noticed such a difference, not just on the scale, but how I feel and how I sleep if I'm eating later, like I have been so much in these last months, trying to get all these broken pipes and water systems back on track again that suffered consequences from our weather snap here. So, that could be helpful. Nancy, what's a observation you've made this week that you think was an aha moment for you?
Well, I just realized traveling how I needed to be more prepared, because it's not always easy, especially in New Mexico, because everything's shut down a lot still. So it's even hard to get just anything. So I really realized that I just needed to be more prepared.
So ice chest for road trips.
Yes.
I have had great luck in the little places that we've gone. We can usually find a Mexican restaurant, and in most dietary worlds, Mexican restaurants would be like, oh, no, no, we're not doing that. But we can get corn tortillas. We can get beans. Sometimes they're going to have fat in them. We can get salsa by the bowl, okay? There's really no place that we can't go and find something to eat.
I did eat a lot of beans.
So I thought I'd do Beth a trick the other day, not this month, I think it was last month. We had our booths like we do the first of every month at the gun show. And she was in her booth, and I was thinking of her because she has this tendency, she's not here to defend herself, but she's going to listen to this later, and I'm sure we'll get a video on it. But she likes to not leave her booth because she's by herself. And so she will restrict her water, and she will restrict her eating so that she doesn't have to abandon her booth to go to the restroom. And so she takes those rice cakes and she puts her PB2 powder on top of it. And that is her creme de la creme. I mean, she lives for her rice cake with her PB2 powder on top of, which is the defatted organic peanut powder that you just mix with water. And, it works just like peanut butter with no fat. Anyway, so I was going to be on top of it. I'm going to take care of Beth. This is me. This is my mentality as I'm going out the door. So I look in the cupboard and I found these little cans of refried beans. Now, when you're at a truck stop like Love's or Buc-ee's or a gas station when we're traveling, they always have those little cans of Lay's beans in the chip aisle, you know, to dip like corn chips and stuff in. And I had gotten some of those. Well, I had also gotten a couple at the grocery store that looked fancier, like, you know, by Bush's or something like that. And so I go, oh, she's going to love this. So I grab one of those beans and I throw it in my bag and I'm going to go feed Beth, right? So I go tripping on down to her little booth and she had some clients there at the table. So I slid her a fork or a spoon and these beans and I walked away feeling all proud of myself. I went back to check on her when I went to the bathroom later. And she's like, oh, girl, take these. And I was like, what? Are they too good? And she says, no, I didn't even open them. She says, read the label. I read the label. And like the second ingredient was bacon fat. And bacon fat was not going in her lips, not just because of the fat, but because we just don't eat animals anymore. And so it's like, okay, I grabbed the wrong can because I don't usually have that problem. I think it's a vegetable oil if it's down low in the ingredients on the Fritos ones, but it's mostly just smashed beans. We also have freeze-dried beans that I've gotten. And it's literally, you can actually look them, hold them up in your hand. You can actually look them. It's like the bean that has been smashed. There ain't nothing added to them whatsoever. It's just cooked beans that have been smashed. And when you add the hot water to them, they just kind of break down and make this incredible refried bean. So corn tortillas, beans, we can usually get cucumbers at a stop. We can always get salsa. If that's the only things you can get your hands on, even if it's just tortillas and the salsa, you'd have to eat a lot of tortillas to be full, but by putting those beans on there, it really makes a difference. So that's one little travel trick, but it's such a different truck stop pickup from what we used to pick up. I mean, come on, you know?
Yep.
We had plenty of crinkle bags going on back then. So, okay, so being prepared. I know Sam, she went on a trip again this week and she had baby potatoes and Brussels sprouts that she had already cooked up and were in her little pop and grab bucket that she can eat while she's driving and stuff like that. My husband did something crazy a few years back. We haven't done on that big of a road trip lately, but we actually stopped, I think it was at Whole Foods on the way out of town or something, and he'd get a head of cabbage and with his pocket knife, he would chop it up and leave it in the baggie that we got, you know, the grocery bag. And we just sit there and eat it like it was popcorn. It was just chopped up cabbage. Talk about gas, you know, we didn't fuel because I can get more gas going on and bloat from cabbage than I can from a bowl of beans. But that's kind of what we snack on now when we go on a long train trip or road trip or something like that. But we take our little baby crock pot with us on the train and it fits right inside that little teeny, you know, it looks like an airplane sink. It's like this big, but the little baby crock pot fits in there and then the plug's above it. And so it's there all nice and safe. And I got one for the office. Not Walmart, HEB had them. They're just a little tiny baby one and they've got high, medium, low, and warm, which is very rare to find a warm setting on a small crock pot. And so I got one of those for the office. I'm going to get another one because it was only like $13 at HEB. And I'm going to get another one to be able to take on our train trip because I really want that warm setting. I want to be able to keep it warm on those big, long, you know, if it cooks all night long, I don't want it to keep cooking, but I don't want it to just sit there and not, because there's no way to refrigerate it. But if I could keep it on warm, that would be a game changer because a lot of our train trips are 13, 18, 24, 32 hours long where we don't get off the train. So, and their food is nothing to be excited about now that, especially with COVID. When we first started doing the train, we had an actual chef and he was baked potatoes, asparagus, and the whole fancy linens and silverware stuff. Now it's more like airplane food, like they peel it off, stick it in a microwave or something like that. So it doesn't look, it's not the same. It's all super processed. It's not fresh. So taking our potatoes is definitely the way to go. So Sam, any epiphanies this week?
No, but I was super happy. Well, not super happy, but I was happy that a little bit has rubbed off on my kids yesterday. Summer and Sabrina both were so excited that, look, second bottle of water today. Woo!
Please tell me it was my water.
Yeah, I'm just happy it was water.
Okay. Better than a soda.
And then this was at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm just like,
I was telling somebody, it might have been you. It's like, well, if you don't buy the plastic bottled water, you can't drink it. But we were talking to some people at the gun show this weekend, and we were talking again about the toxins that are in the plastic bottles, not just the bad water that they're putting in there. Because did I tell you about this? I don't have my picture with me. I can show it to you. Wait, let me get it for you. Let me show you this. I haven't done a screen share today. Gotta keep with the programming. Share. So we go over here, right here. I was showing this at the gun show this weekend, and wait for it. Plastic bottles. Okay, so this on the left, have I showed you this before? This is the Kirkland Water from Costco. And a client says, well, I drink the Kirkland water. Is it good? Because I was testing their water and it was horrid. And I tested the Kirkland water, and this is iron in this little yellow bottle. And then in this little tiny one right here, you can see a little yellow on the bottom because we use just a little tiny ½ inch of water with 5 drops of testing solution. And it's also yellow, which means there's chlorine in the water. So Kirkland plastic bottles, which have BPAs, estrogens, estrogen is part of that BPA list, super bad toxins, but it's also got iron and chlorine, which means they just put tap water in there and sold it back to y'all. Okay. This one here is the Nestle's Pure Life. Again, you got the plastic toxins, especially the estrogen. Estrogen loves fatty tissue. We are seeing more and more cases of breast cancer than we've ever seen in the history of the world in the last 20 to 25 years since we started obsessing over plastic bottles and bottled water. But it contained iron and copper, but it did not have chlorine, which that tells me it went through a single carbon filter, which would have removed the gases like chlorine, but it had no other filtration to remove the iron and the copper, the metals. And you can see them here. This is iron, orange, and then the greenish is the copper. All right. I did another one, and I need to add it to the list. I'm not sure how to redesign the form here, the poster, but I did the Walmart brand water recently. And it not only had iron, copper, and lead and chlorine, okay, had all of that, but it had 21 grains of hardness. Oh my goodness, you have to chew that water. That is so many grains of hardness. And people wonder why they get kidney stones and gallbladder stones and all these stones. Where does those stones come from? I mean, we're drinking them, we're bathing in them, and it's getting into our system. And then I get the people that will always say, well, I have a well, I have my own property, and I have the most delicious tasting water coming from my well. And I test it, and I can actually tell by certain mathematical equations and breakdowns that I do when I test the water. I can tell you how many minerals, total dissolved solids in the water, or calcium or limestone, hardness related minerals. And I will test their water and show them how much calcium and limestone related minerals are in their water. It's like, when was the last time your doctor said you weren't getting enough limestone? Go drink some more water out of your well, but that would be a disaster for stones and things like that. But they'll say, well, it's delicious. It's, straight from the ground. It's pure. Or they'll say, oh, I love spring water. I only drink, what's that one that's in the beautiful Swiss Alps or something that they advertise on water, whatever. They got all these fancy waters. And so then I have to say, you know, I do live in a microscopic world, right? And down here on the bottom, if you want to get technical of what lives in freshwater sources, yeah, you can't see them and you can't taste them, but I promise you at 1,000 magnification, they are there and you would be able to see them. And that, the ones, okay, I have to get cute though. I mean, you're thinking, oh, that's gross and disgusting, but I love water bears. Water bears are so cute. And one of my colleagues got a picture of one, and it was actually upside down underneath the 2 plates of glass, looking at it under the microscope. And it's got its little tiny paws like this, scratching at the glass, like it's walking across it. It was so cute. It's got like 8 of these little legs, just scratching, or 6 of them or whatever. So cute. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to swallow it, but it's really cute. I'd like to make it a pet and give it a name, but I don't want to swallow it. So we have to rethink that. And then on top of that was the one thing we've talked about before, where they talk about, well, I don't use plastic that's been in my car because I know hot plastic leaches things into the water. It has already leached the things into the water. And when I toured that bottling manufacturer here in San Antonio, because I've been approached 3 times to bottle our water and sell it in the stores. And unless they can do it in glass, I ain't playing. And so I went to tour this facility, and it was a plastic bottling company. And it's one of the reasons that I just flat out put my foot down and just said, no, unless you got glass and a way to transport it and make it worthwhile and economical, it ain't happening. And so it's in downtown San Antonio, which is probably 90% cement. Okay, there's not a lot of grass growing in that area of the industrial section of downtown San Antonio. But they bottle their own spring water, and they can call it spring water because their well in the middle of their parking lot goes down 1,100 feet. And because it goes down to a certain depth, they're able to call it spring water. So just like a glass blower blows out glass bottles, you know, when they're blowing it out, that's about 1,700 degrees that they're putting in it to get that glass malleable so that they can actually shape it. And did I say that word right? And the plastic comes out of their machine just like a balloon at 400 degrees. And as it comes out and goes down, the water shoots up from their well 1,100 feet down and fills up that bottle. And then the lid goes on, the label goes on, and it's going down this conveyor belt to go into boxes, which goes into a hot storage unit, which goes into a hot truck, which delivers it to like the grocery store's hot warehouse, which then puts it on the shelf. So when you get it at room temperature with the air conditioner blowing at the grocery store, you have this false sense of it's always lived this way. It's always been happy and slightly cool, because you're assuming that it's been there forever. But remember, it shot out of that well straight into that 400-degree plastic bottle as part of the process. That would scare the death out of anybody. So, but when you see this and you test these waters and you see that this sets, I need to take a picture of the one that I have at the office, because I did this test at my office and it was super high in iron. And as we set it up on the shelf, but over the period of days, all of the water evaporated, but I've left the jar there because in the bottom of the jar is a solid layer of iron. It's just as bright orangey brown as you can imagine. And so I just pick it up and show people that come into the pharmacy. Most of them, you know, live close to the pharmacy. It's like the water in this area, yeah, you don't want to be drinking it, cooking it, bathing in it, none of that. So that's kind of where that comes from. But does this help you understand a little bit more about, you know, why we don't want to drink bottled water? I mean, you need to show this to your kids, Sam. I'll text it to you. You can share it to them, okay?
Okay.
So, especially since they've got my water right there at the sink, and all they got to do is flip the switch and the lever and fill up a glass. So, yeah. All right, guys, it's 111. I love numbers and I love ones, and it's 111. What a great time to wrap up here today. Any last minute questions or challenges? Should we have a goal to do something cool and crazy this week? What do we want to do this week? What do we want for our challenge?
What do you mean?
Let's make it. Let's make a goal of. We could say no crinkle packages. Should we do?
I'm going on a trip. Okay, look,
I'm getting
My-
my crinkle packages.
let me show you another crinkle package that sometimes I think it's okay
Okay.
because McDougall says pita bread's okay. So pita chips are okay, right?
Oh, wow. Hey, let's look at the label real quick.
Shut up, no.
Are they baked?
Yes, they're baked.
So what's the fat gram?
5 grams of fat total,
What's the calories?
130.
So we're allowed 26. So 13, 20% would be 26, 5. It's about double. It should have been about 2.3 in order to stay in that category. How about the salt compared to the calories? What's the calories again? 230?
130.
130. And then what is the salt?
The salt is sodium is 270.
So salt is supposed to be 1 for 1. So that's double at least. You know, me and my math, you're watching me make a fool of myself here, but we're trying. And how about the added sugars? Any added sugars?
No, less. Yeah,
Hey, Summer.
there's no added.
No added sugars. Yay! Okay, so 1 out of 3. Okay. Let me think. Carolyn, you got an idea for a contest this week?
I don't know.
So I'll tell you what, since there's only 3 of you on the call today and I got a brand new 3-pack of Sprouts. Did you ever do your Sprouts, Carolyn?
It didn't work out. I think it was because I accidentally threw away that brown part.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah.
You need the brown part. So I'm going to send all 3 of you a pack of Sprouts this week because you're special. So it comes on what do you call it? Like a fibrous mesh that holds the water in, and then your little pillow packets of the seeds are on top. So and it's usually stuck together. So I usually flip it over for like 2 minutes to soak the seed top, and then I flip it over and walk away. And it's just sitting in a pan, floating on top of about a ½ an inch of water. And as long as I keep water in that pan, I don't have to do anything else. And usually on about anywhere between day 4 and day 6, maybe on most of them, it'll tell you to peel the top layer off. I have found a trick though, that before I even get it wet, I will start to peel it up on one corner so it's easier to grab. And then after about the 4th or 5th day, and the instructions will tell you when, you peel that off, stick it in a little sunlight or something, and you've got Sprouts like this big by the end of the week, and they're just so full of micronutrients. It's incredible. I love wrapping them up in my waffle sandwiches with my cucumbers or my tortilla wraps and things like that. But I will send a package out. I'm going to the mail center again today, so I'll send one up to y'all. But thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Love seeing you guys. I'm excited. This is our year. We're going to reclaim our health. We're going to get off any medications. We're going to reverse conditions of health and disease. And so many of us are seeing those benefits already. And I'm just thrilled to be sharing this journey with you. So I'm going to probably upload this one onto YouTube because it'll do the closed captioning, because that's the only way I can actually get the closed captioning to keep up with me talking at 300 knots an hour here or whatever I'm doing. Talk too fast. So I burned up Kelly's fingers last week when she was trying to do closed captions. So, all right. Any questions or anything like that? Post it on the website, on the Facebook group. I want to see y'all's food. Start sending those pictures and recipe ideas. So we've got a lot, but we're just always looking for more. So any questions, tips? If you think of any more of those tips that you've got from Chelsea, you want to post them, that'd be great too. We love to share that. I've actually reached out to her and asked her to be a guest speaker for us. I'm hoping she'll respond, but I'm not sure if she's actually seeing my texts when I send them to her on Instagram. So I'll keep trying. Okay. All right, guys.
Okay.
Love you bunches.
Bye.
See you next
Hey,
week.
Rosemary,
Yes, ma'am.
call me.
Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, when you're done right now.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Bye.